Chapter 1, Section 2, Order of Operation and Evaluating Expressions. A power is a number that can be expressed using a base and an exponent. There are two parts. One part is the base, and that's a normal sized number. And the second part is an exponent, and that is a smaller number that is superscript, or rising above. Now what the exponent tells us is how many times the base will be a factor. So in the case of 7 raised to the third power, 7 is a factor 3 times. So it will be multiplied out 3 times to determine the simplest form. In this case, 7 times 7 is 49. 49 times 7 equals 343. Here is the first item that your notes must have. I would like you to write an expression that has a base of 6 and an exponent of 10. As I did in the previous slide, label the base, label the exponent, and label the power. We're now going to move on to order of operations. I'm sure by now you've heard, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. A couple things to remember is that parentheses is always first, and then exponents, but then you do multiply and division left to right. You don't do them in the order of multiplication and then division. You go through the problem left to right, doing either dividing or multiplying as it comes up. And the same with addition, subtraction. So, working with parentheses, I'm going to do what's inside the parentheses first. So I will have 5 times 7 minus, inside my parentheses was a 4. Notice I'm copying everything else down. So now I no longer have anything to do inside the parentheses. My next item is exponents. So here's my exponent. So I will work that problem. 5 times 7 minus 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16, divided by 2. So check. That is done. Now I'm going to multiply and divide left to right. So I'm going this way across. 5 times 7 is 35 minus 16. Now I have another one over here I've divided by 2. So I'm going to do this division. 35 minus, and then of course 16 divided by 2 is 8. So that's done. Now I'm down to addition, subtraction, left to right. Well, I only have one, it's subtraction. So when I subtract that, I will get 27. We're going to look at another problem. I'm going to start this one for you, and then you need to finish it. So this is your number 2 on your notes. First, we're going to look at parentheses. If you look at this, we have 2 sets of parentheses. We have the ones I marked in green, and we have the ones I marked in blue, which are called brackets. We're going to do the green ones, the innermost ones first, and that's the way it's always done. So I'm going to copy everything else back down, just as I see it. Put my parentheses here. 67 minus, now I have 2 to the 6th power, raised to the 3rd, over 9. So I'm going to do this 2 to the 6th power, because I must solve that to solve what's inside the parentheses. As you can see, I solved that, and it's 64 to the 8, plus, now this became a 3. I'm going to bring that cube straight down, over 9. So parentheses are done, the first bracket. But now the second bracket, so I must worry about what's in here now. Well, to solve that, I have an exponent and an addition. So I must do the exponent first, and from this point on, please complete the problem, and we'll talk about it in class tomorrow. This is number 3 on your notes, and on this one I'd like you to pay attention to this fraction bar. This fraction bar acts as a grouping symbol. So it is like putting parentheses on the top and then another set of parentheses on the bottom. So you're going to work the numerator and the denominator each separately before you divide with the fraction bar. Go ahead and work through the steps, and we will go through this as our warm-up tomorrow. Here we're going to talk a bit about evaluating algebraic expressions. When you evaluate algebraic expressions, you're finding the value of it, or its worth. Here we consider the expression 3b minus a squared. And we have two variables. We have a b and an a. Our a variable is equal to 3. So when we have when we have a, we're going to put 3 in its place. Now where we have b, we're going to put 4 in its place. Now we have an expression that we can simplify. Order of operations, say we do the exponential first. So that will become 9. 3 squared is 9. 3 times 3. And then we're going to go back through and solve any multiplication division. Well, the multiplication division is 3 times 4, and that is 12. 12 minus 9 is 3. Now I'd like to point out a couple of things here. I was very careful when I replaced variables with their value to put them inside parentheses. In the first term, you see this is very important. Because if I had not put that in parentheses, you might have thought that 3b was 34. Putting it in the parentheses, you realize that that's 3 times b. And you know to multiply that out. Now it's time for you to try one. Here's a problem for you to try. Mark this as number 4 in your notes. I want you to take a moment and look at this problem. This solution is not correct. Can you determine why it is not correct? Once you do, write it in your notebook, and I will see you in class tomorrow.